Welcome to B Plot Podcast, a podcast where we take a look at some of the biggest movies from days gone by. Mostly ignore it. Look at the ones come out on the exact same day. Now, we got a little treat for you guys here. Outside of the main feed, we will be releasing regularly, don't worry, but it's Oscar season. Woohoo! Woohoo! Big it up. Oscar 2021. We decided that we're going to actually watch all the Oscar movies this year. Something that I don't think I've done since I was 17 years old. Actually give a shit about the Oscars or watch any of the Oscar movies before they even start. Sam, you are joining us today. How you feeling, my dude? Are you welcome? Are you feeling good? You feeling happy with what we're doing with these Oscar season little shorties that we've been doing?
Feeling good, feeling great. This will be the first time I've watched every Best Picture nominee.
First time.
Yeah. I'm not a big believer in the Oscars. I feel like for the most part there's a sort of paint by numbers way of getting to it, but I am super interested in the films this year.
The two that we're starting with, there's no particular order, you know. Some will have one movie, some will have two, but the one that we chose this time around, Sam, The Father, starring Anthony Hopkins and the god Olivia Colman, actually directed by Florian Zeller. And then on the other side, we have The Trial of the Chicago 7, directed by Aaron Sorkin, and starring like a big ensemble cast. Sacha Baron Cohen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Keaton makes an appearance. Frank Langella is excellent, and a bunch of people. Eddie Redmayne, who I hate. So
Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who I love, but not necessarily for this.
All right. Well, let's start with The Father. The Father. What did you think of The Father, Sam?
I went in thinking I wouldn't like it. Ended up loving it. I thought it was great. Very interestingly, I was having a conversation with somebody yesterday about how we both think Anthony Hopkins is a very overrated actor. I personally, his most famous role has to be Silence of the Lambs. I think it's just talking quick in a posh accent. This, though, I was like, he's incredible in it. He's so good.
He's so good, man. Anthony Hopkins plays a man living with dementia, and his daughter, played by Olivia Colman, she kind of has to manage him through this dementia. But it's a really kind of small way of explaining it. Initially, this was a play. And you can really tell that it was a play because a lot of the plot moves forward through dialogue mostly. So there's characters are mostly talking, and I don't want to give too much away, but basically what ends up happening is it's a trip through Anthony Hopkins's dementia, and just the kind of confusion and the terror that he experiences. Memories kind of fragment in and out. And it does this really good thing, Sam. I don't know if you noticed this as well. This is one of those movies where like production design is so important. Like, what are the characters wearing? What's the color of the bag that the chicken comes in?
Yeah.
Because these are the little things that Anthony Hopkins has to hold on to kind of like root himself in reality.
Yeah.
And what is actually happening around him. And so as a viewer, you end up doing it. So like every time Olivia Colman has, at least I know she has this blouse on, even if it's a different altogether.
Yeah, so that is super interesting because when it started, I was like, oh, this is about you don't really realize it's Anthony Hopkins' perspective for the first 4 or 5 minutes. It could be anything, and then. Once you're in his head, it's like, oh, it's those blue bags from corner shops. They've got those 3 blue bags everywhere, and every time you're like, it's a very English thing. Obviously, I know the writer director is French, and originally this was a French play, but there are so many just like London things in it, little London bits. Yeah, like I said as well, I'm waffling a bit, but the beginning, I was ready to hate it because I was like, I'm not prepared to feel bad for Anthony Hopkins owning what is clearly 17 flats with the walls knocked down into one single massive flat. Also, I was waiting the entire movie just to spot the postcode on the street sign outside. And it was like, oh, really? It's like right between like Notting Hill, Paddington, and Regent's Park. I was like, oh, poor man losing his memory. But it's a testament to how well constructed this movie is that by the end I was like, yeah, you know, I don't think I'd even try and steal anything from this guy's house. I think I'd just be like, okay, I'm sorry, man. You know,
it is beautiful, and Anthony Hopkins is. I think he, as far as I can see, early contender for best actor. Also, you know how the Academy kind of works. They tend to reward your entire body of work. So they might just actually give this one to Anthony Hopkins because God knows if this guy's going to be around next year. As crass as that sounds, but the Academy does tend to work that way.
I do think though, if I'm having to judge it across, I think Olivia Colman's performance, as it always is the best performance in the movie.
It was good. I mean, it was good. She definitely has something about her, and she's gotten to the point now where she stopped playing characters. In my opinion, she's gotten to such a good level. You know, like there's like two types of actors. There's people who disappear into the role, and then there's people who like draw the role onto them.
Yeah,
she's on the stage where like I know it's Olivia Colman, so she can't disappear in a role anymore.
Yeah,
but she's so good.
Yeah,
so like now I'm like, oh man, what choices is she making? Like, why is she doing? She's at that like level of acting at this point.
Well, it's every time she sort of, and this is part of it, right? Because Anthony Hopkins, it's his dementia. He's abusive, very like verbally abusive at points to her throughout the movie. And the moment where that's the thing is the moment where it breaks her, I'm like, it's so sincere. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, right? I'm super quick to cry at movies. Like, I'm crying at The Matrix. I'm probably going to cry when we do Demolition Man one day for something stupid. This film, not a tear out of me. Nothing. Just like dry because it was too intense. It was too real. I was like, this is super believable. I don't know as well. I do have a little bit of history of dementia in my family on one side. And I'm like, yeah, this also kind of, it really accurately catches what it's like for the carer, for the person living with the person. I was like, yeah, no, too real.
To be honest, Sam, I think most people do. I think most people do have that understanding of an elder relative moving towards the end of their life, and then like the dementia taking over, and how difficult it is. Bringing it back to the Oscar contention, I think at a different year, if this gets released later in the kind of Oscar cycle, I think this could run the board in terms of
all categories.
It could do really well. It could do really best adapted, blah blah blah. Just because it's a serious topic about a serious disease played with serious actors, delivered in a serious way. It came out kind of 27th of January. So this is kind of 27th of Jan 2020. So right before the world kind of just falls apart. And the last thing that we want to do is think about, what's Anthony Hopkins' Oscar bid going to be this year? And I think if it comes out a little bit later, it maybe has a chance to build a bit of momentum. I think it reaches the Oscars with a lot more hype. But as it stands, I don't think this will. Maybe some of the performances will, but I don't think this is going to take Best Picture. Whereas in previous years, I think it could have. And we can be honest about these things as well. It's not a particularly sexy choice at this point in time. The Oscars, it's weird, man. They get crushed under a lot of hashtags, and every year Hollywood decides who is the new minority that deserves our attention. Basically,
do you think?
I do think so. Why, Sam? Can I ask this though before you go on? Why is it that these issues get brought up around Oscar time? Why aren't they brought up in the 9 months between the hype for the big Oscar coming out?
I would say there are two reasons. One, the attitude is always there. It's always there. It's just not as vocal, or it's not as plugged into the mainstream. I would say the reason it comes up so much around Oscar season is because this is the biggest, cinema awards show in the world, and it sort of comes with them getting the same having this similar things recognized throughout history and it not really diversifying at all. And I'm not, when I say diversifying, I don't just mean like race, color, gender, anything. There is a type of movie that just wins Best Picture. And I think, if I'm honest, I think, did Green Book win last year?
The year before.
The year before? I'm like, I didn't see Green Book, so I can't judge the movie. I just saw the trailer and I was like, this is a film my grandma is going to love and no one else in the family. No generations down.
I actually have the last couple of ones in front of us, if you don't mind me.
Yeah,
if you don't mind me having a look. So like from about 2015, Spotlight, they knew. They knew.
Yeah.
But that year, fantastic movies like The Big Short, Mad Max Fury Road, which would have been a really brave choice. The Revenant, which was probably the one that was supposed to win. The year that, The Shape of Water, that won 1 year. What the fuck? Ahead of Get Out? Get out of here.
Yeah, see, but it's what you were talking about, right? Shape of Water isn't even Guillermo del Toro's best movie. It's just, we kind of owed him one because we treated him like shit for making Blade 2 and Hellboy and things like that.
Yeah, that's fair. But now let's look at 2018. Green Book, that year, that one, ahead of Black Panther, which wasn't the best movie that year, I don't think.
Yeah.
Black Klansman, which is a good movie, but ultimately flawed, and Spike Lee can suck my dick. He didn't deserve to win the one for that. Although it's weird that they didn't throw him a bone and just be like, all right, here you go. And this one is for Do the Right Thing. And also for that.
I think if you're going to give Guillermo one for Shape of Water, you got to give Spike one for Black Klansman. Because that's the only one I've seen of this year, I think. What else is there? What's on there?
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Didn't see
it. The Favorite, which is absolutely
that's
fantastic.
The one. Yeah.
Fantastic. Roma, which I haven't seen because I don't want to feel sad. A Star is Born, which we will 100% do on the podcast.
Never seen it.
I enjoyed it. It's so much fun. And Vice, which is just weird, I guess.
The Favorite was fucking incredible. I think that's the thing, though, right? Is that there's no... The Green Book is a film that you don't need to see to go, I get what it's going to be, though.
Yeah. But this is separate to our conversation, though, I think it's difficult because I love movies, but I kind of hate Hollywood. Just because right at the beginning of the pandemic, a bunch of celebrities basically sang Imagine All the People into their phones so that people... honestly, that is their base reality. That's who they are. They think people look up to us. We have a quote-unquote platform. We have to say something. They don't fucking know anything. They don't know anything. They don't have a platform. They don't know, even if you have a platform. Fucking Joaquin Phoenix comes on. He's like, hey, man, you gotta recycle. And we're like, fucking take it and go, Joaquin.
Yeah.
No one gives a fuck if you're a vegetarian. Go,
you recycle. You do it.
You have the money. I paid my money to see you. You recycle, motherfucker. And so that's why I get worked up, man. I can tell I'm getting hot. I'm sorry. Let me calm down. Yeah, so let's go on to Trial of the Chicago 7. Done by Aaron Sorkin. And this is the story of a group of Vietnam... it's basically the story of the Chicago riots at the 1968 National Democratic Convention.
Yeah.
Where the Democrats elected their leader. It's a really important time in American history, a really kind of turbulent time in American history. One of those things that kind of led to beyond just the years, it was kind of like the death of the free love movement in the 60s and stuff. Vietnam was becoming more important, blah, blah, blah. You were saying?
So, no, sorry, dude. You called it I was talking to my partner the other day and I was desperately trying to remember what the fuck the sexual revolution of the 60s was called. And I kept saying things like, when they were all fucking each other all the time and it was cool. And then they invented AIDS, that. And I couldn't, it's the free love movement. That was driving me crazy.
Or whatever it was. And it's a very interesting film, man. Because this film, done by your boy, Aaron Sorkin, him of the walking and talking fast, walking while talking scene. And this is a deeply flawed movie. And I'm kind of embarrassed for the Academy that they have nominated it. One, because I don't think this says anything about, because of all of these movies in general, and when the Academy nominates these movies say something about the Academy as well, right?
Yeah.
Which is there's a reason they don't nominate fucking Tenet or whatever the big blockbusters of Days Gone. Like they don't.
Tenet's nominated for a bunch of things though,
But not Best Picture. That's where the big boys play.
But let's also just talk a little bit about one of our mutually favorite movies that didn't get a look in last year, which was Uncut Gems.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Right?
That's
which
nuts.
is whether you enjoyed the film or not is insanity. That is, and the reason was, well, obviously this is speculative, but according to some of the people involved, Adam Sandler went on the Howard Stern show and said, if this picture doesn't get a look in, I'm going to come back and make a movie so fucking bad you're all going to hate me twice as much, which is a joke. And then the Academy, there was something about that not taking on people who don't take it seriously. And it's like, fuck you, man. That these Safdie brothers made 2 bangers. You've got to give them something.
Look, I can even accept that, in some crazy universe where the Uncut Gems is not as good as the movies. It's at least better than I know than Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah.
I know that. But the fact that Adam Sandler doesn't even get a look in for Best Actor is fucking insane to me. That performance, is off the charts.
Yeah.
How good it is. But sorry, let's go back to the Trial of the Chicago 7. The movie starts after the original riots and these group of anti-war, anti-Vietnam protesters. Mainly, the main ones I think is Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, the absolutely brilliant Jeremy Strong, who plays Kendall Roy in Succession. I don't know if you know him. He's Sacha Baron Cohen's kind of...
Oh, the stoner buddy. Yeah.
He is absolutely brilliant. Fantastic actor. Yeah, and it's the trial. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt is the prosecutor. And he has to prosecute these men. And then he knows that the charges are trumped up. But they have to go through with it. Anyway, Sam, what do you think?
This is one of those ones where I didn't know much about this trial. I didn't know in fact, the only thing that I knew from the film was that Fred Hampton was assassinated by the police. That was the only event that was in my consciousness. But watching it as a sensible person over the age of 15, 16, I was like, this is wet bullshit, and it so inaccurate that it definitely misses the point. And then looking it up afterwards, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, who is the prosecution lawyer and kind of is the avenue for the movie, right? He's
largely absent for most of the runtime.
He's largely absent, but I think he's supposed to be the audience eye. I think he's supposed to be the guy who's, in terms of the film, he's set up to prosecute these war protesters, but he knows there's something wrong. He knows that the charges that a lot of this is false, a lot of it is set up in the system is going to get gamed in a way to not allow these guys to succeed. In real life, Schultz was a suspected Nazi and went super hard. They apparently in real life was way worse than his boss. Really wanted these guys to go down, and that's the start of it. That's the kind of start of these changes. And then as you go through and read the changes, I'm like, I think the trial of the Chicago 7 borderlines on disrespectful to the events and these people.
See, I would disagree with you, Sam. I don't think you're the kind of audience avatar and intro for you is supposed to be Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think it's supposed to be Eddie Redmayne's character. Eddie Redmayne plays. Let me just figure out exactly who he plays. Yeah, so Eddie Redmayne plays Tom Hayden, one-time president of the Students for a Democratic Society, and there's, while we're watching this movie, there's kind of 2 opposites presented to you. One is Eddie Redmayne's character, who is Tom Hayden, and on the other side you have Sacha Baron Cohen's character, who's Abby Hoffman, this kind of loosey-goose, freewheeling. Basically, Abby Hoffman, I was like, this is Sam in the 60s. what's interesting to me about it is they present kind of two poles of liberalism, right? Of progressive politics. The one is Tom Hayden's the kind of like, well, you need to change the system within the system and, vote and democracy and this is how we get out and how we do it. And Abby Hoffman is basically this guy who's like, the system is fucked. These people want to kill us. Power doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because there's no way to get real power because of how we look and who we are as people. So the only way to overthrow the system is to overthrow it. You can't work within it. And I think you're supposed to come to it as Tom Hayden, because I think that's who the audience is for, is highly educated, professional, liberal people who want the world to be a better place, but don't want to make any of the sacrifices that need the world to be a better place. And so I think he is like your avatar, and him kind of going against the judge's authority towards the end is supposed to be like this triumphant moment where you're like, he does have a revolutionary spirit after all, when the truth is he doesn't. Also, the problem with Aaron Sorkin is I think he directed this movie, and that's an issue for me, because he's a decent writer, to great writer. Like occasionally, like he hits it out the park. A Few Good Men's great. Social Network is him as well. He can hit it out the park. The problem is, I think with the direction of this movie, it's very stodgy. The courtroom scenes feel very sterile, and then when he breaks over into violence, when you get actually the scene of the actual riot, the inciting incident, like for God's sake, man. And I also looked this up. There's no proof that this ever happened, but there's a scene where there's these frat boys, and they were about to sexually assault one of the protesters, and just the verbiage to me is just like, what the fuck do you think people... Also, they're gonna, in the middle of this riot, throw this woman on the floor and rape her on top of the American flag. And I'm like...
Whilst getting tear gassed.
This is heavy-handed.
Yeah.
This is heavy-handed, my dude.
Well, this is... And look, I'm gonna spoil the movie here, but...
It's history as well, so you can't really spoil it.
Yeah. Well, it's rewritten history, but this is in essence what like drove me crazy about the film was it's an adult film. It's not supposed to be a Marvel movie, right? It's supposed to be, hey, this is for adults who want like historical fiction courtroom drama. Do we still need the scene at the end where the defendants like protest the judge and the everyone in the fucking trial starts applauding and the judge bangs the gavel and goes, silence in my court, as like string music plays? I'm like, this tonally is for children. This is like this scene belongs in My Cousin Vinny. It doesn't.
Don't you dare!
I love My Cousin Vinny, but it literally happens in My Cousin Vinny, which is a comedy movie.
I think this movie. Yeah, I think Aaron Sorkin, I don't know exactly why the Academy awarded this, because like I said, it doesn't work on one level in that it's not like a cinematic masterpiece. Maybe as like a kind of, I'm sure that Netflix released some other things that are award-worthy.
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure they did.
Mm-hmm.
And again, politics-wise, it doesn't really fit, because this is as close to science fiction to me, because what I think Aaron Sorkin wants is he wants the scenario where, all right, you're a little bit to the right, I'm a little bit to the left. We talk at each other and we come to an understanding. Eloquently, but we all, fundamentally, the people within the system are good people.
Yeah.
And I think also because movies of the past are trying to kind of, when you make a movie set in the past, you're basically reflecting today, right? That's the idea. What I think he's trying to say is that, like, I wish we could go back to that, where people could eloquently give across their opinions, and at the end, the prosecutor would stand and respect the dead. When the truth is that we're so far past that.
It's also never happened.
Well, even if it did, that's, how long ago was that? Like 50 years, 60 years ago?
But let's also bear in mind, we have to talk about the Black Panthers and Yaya's character, Bobby Seale, who is the head of the Black Panthers, who is the 8th defendant on trial who is like, denied his rights throughout the whole movie. But there is that scene at the midway point where he keeps protesting. He keeps saying that he wants to defend himself. The judge is clearly racist and being like, no. And they gag him. And then they get it. The prosecution declares it a mistrial. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character says, we want to give him a mistrial, like get him off. Which obviously never happened. This guy was for sure a raging Nazi who wanted to kill him. And Bobby Seale, in reality, was bound and gagged in the court for 4 days with nobody standing up for him.
Exactly.
So, and this is the thing, is that, like, I think what Aaron Sorkin's idea of let's get back to this more eloquent way of arguing and having discourse with each other is real bullshit. And I think the film ends up being more aggressive than the views it's trying to combat, in terms of, if you are slightly to the left, stop pulling the left back. It's also like, I know the original draft of this film, or the treatment, was 2006, right? So Spielberg goes to Aaron Sorkin, I want to make this movie about the trial of the Chicago 7. Can you write it? Sorkin doesn't know anything about it, and in 2006, I'm sure he's thinking, we could do the racism stuff for a couple minutes of a 2-something hour movie.
Look, these two movies have been very interesting, very different ones. I don't think Trial of Chicago 7 is going to get anywhere near anything. I'd be shocked.
Yeah,
I'd be shocked if it does. The Father, I can see. Because this is something that I think I haven't seen all the other movies, but I do feel there's something special in that.
Yeah.
If only in the performances. But hey, man, let's stop there. We will be constantly. We're gonna keep updating, guys. This will drop whenever it drops, and then we're also still going to be releasing the regular movies for you. All the way through, baby. All the way through. Maybe we can do something special on Oscar Day, like on Twitch or something. I don't know. We can try something special. I don't know. I have no idea how that even works, my dude. But yeah, keep tuning in. Let us know what you think about the Oscar movies. Let us know what you think about these two movies on our Instagrams, Lincoln on the mic, and also Sam J. Gogan. Sam, what are you trying to say?
What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
Nothing.
You went like this.
Oh, I think my legs are spasming and it's just going all the way through my body.
That's disgusting. All right, guys. See you next time.
Bye.